Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Francesca. I'm a teacher and tutor with LSAT Demon, and I'm here with Mike, one of our former students. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing well today.
Awesome. So, Mike, thanks for coming on. You're here to share with us your success story, not just with the LSAT, but with the law school admissions game. You had some great outcomes this cycle. We want to hear all about how you did it, how the LSAT journey was like, the application process, and hear your advice. So, why don't you start by giving us the 50,000 foot view of your LSAT journey, study journey? Where did you start? Where did you end up? And how did that go for you?
Sure. Do you want me to start from like Book of Genesis pretty much? So from the
Book of
beginning.
Genesis, the whole
Okay.
thing.
Sure. So when I started undergrad, well, let me start by saying um, I'm a little older than probably the average LSAT taker or law school applicant. I'm 31 years old now. I decided to go to undergrad when I was 26 years old. I made the decision to. So I started applying and I got into a four-year university in Michigan. So I took it. And the only reason I even went is because I knew I wanted to be an attorney. I already had a good career in sales, where I could have just rode off in the sunset and perfected it and really just made a full career out of it. But, I had some run-ins, unfortunately, with the law. Nothing major, but, petty things, misdemeanors, things like that when I was younger. And I saw how much, my attorney saved me when I was younger. So I decided, it's something that I wanted to do. So, I started researching online. Well, how do you even become an attorney? I always knew about law school because you see it on TV. That's what lawyers have to go through. But, I was so far removed from the process. I'm first generation, not only student, but first generation American. No one in my family has ever even gotten past high school, So it's kind of, having to learn completely on my own. So what I learned just by quick Google searches as well, you have to get a bachelor's degree. After that, you need to go to an accredited law school. You need to take the LSAT. It's like, okay. So everything I read online was don't worry about the LSAT, just get your GPA in order. So that's, for the first couple of years, just really focused on getting through undergrad. June 2021, I decided I'm just going to take the LSAT. And so I did without any sort of studying, no exposure to it. I just signed up for it and thought, okay, well, I'm going to take it because the other standardized tests, I mean, that's just how I did it, SAT when I was, going to college initially, ACT, everything like that. So I just thought, okay, well, it'll be like that. I quickly was humbled and realized that that was not the case. I scored a 140. I didn't even know, like, is that good? Is that bad? I typed it in on Google. Can I get into law school? The 140. Quickly realized no, you cannot. So like, okay, well, I'm just going to get through undergrad and then I'll worry about it afterwards. August 2022, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in business management and legal studies. So I had some exposure to concepts of law and other things like that. So I actually registered for the November test after I graduated, but for whatever reason with Proctor U, it didn't allow me to take it. So it got pushed back to February. I had a lot of things going on with work and I have two children, so I didn't really have the time to study. However, I would say about 2 weeks before the test, I realized, okay, well, I need to start studying. So I did the things like Khan Academy, things like that. Did it for a week or two and was PTing not great, like 150, 151. But I was like, okay, well, let's just take it because I'll get in somewhere with a 151. Kid test came back, not even a 150. It came back as a 146, and I was crushed. So I had a choice right then and there. Some of the advice I got from people on the internet and other places was just retake and reapply. And that's probably the best advice. But I got my February score back March 1st, and I had until March 3rd to sign up for the April LSAT. And I just decided, you know what, maybe I'll lose $200 if I don't get a good enough score. Maybe I am too late, but you know what, screw it. I'm going to go ahead and go for it. So I registered and I signed up for LSAT Demon, the live one, went through the classes, took another diagnostic test, and then started drilling down on everything, really learned the games, and learned everything else. And then May 1st, I was through the roof when my score came back as a 161. So, definitely a lot of progress, 15 points in a matter of a month. But, it also wasn't by accident. I spent 3 or 4 hours every day on top of work and dealing with my kids and, wife and everything like that. But still, I etched out a few hours every day, no matter what, to dedicate to LSAT prep.
Yeah, so a lot of things in there. I mean, first of all, congratulations on your score and also just on
Thank
the
you.
improvement, 15 points in a month. I mean, that's very impressive. Good for you.
Thank you.
Um, you essentially took two more or less cold diagnostic tests, right? Your very first one was a completely cold test. And then you said that you studied for 2 weeks before the second one and then got pretty much the same score again. I
Yeah,
mean, 2 weeks in the world of LSAT study is just like a blip on the radar.
it is.
And after that, it's just, yeah, deciding to, hey, like I'm actually going to crack down, invest in myself, and really see what I can do here, which is great. So for your studying itself, you said you're using the Demon Live classes. Was there anything in particular that really helped you see that amount of improvement aside from just showing up a little bit every day and making the time for it?
From the live courses, I think that where I did find a lot of improvement was learning how to do like the logical reasoning and reading comps. So, you know, and I can't remember which instructor had said it, but one of them had said, well, always remember in reading comp, the answers are in the text. 100% of the answers are in the text.
Mm-hmm.
So I think kind of having that realization helps them take some of the anxiety out of it and help pop and deflate the balloon a little bit. Reading comp to me, especially when I was studying and taking the test, it seems like a monster. So, kind of just, okay, well, everything is there. So reread it, and something that, I listened to a lot of the podcasts that like Ben and Nathan did. And I believe Nathan, don't shoot me if I'm wrong, Nathan, but I think what Nathan said was, if you don't already know what the passage is about, if you don't already know, where the flaws are, then you aren't ready for the questions. So that's how I began to train for it. So I think some of that instruction helped me learn it a little better and learn how to go back through it.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it's just a shift in your mindset of how you're thinking about the test, right? You're no longer seeing it as this big behemoth thing that is just a huge challenge to overcome. And now it becomes a thing
Right.
of all of the answers are here. I just need to read carefully and basically realize that they're there, right? Pick them out and understand them. So as for studying for the LSAT with kids at home, I mean, that's in and of itself a whole other layer of challenge to think about. We have lots of non-traditional students, non-traditional applicants listening to this. What would your advice be to people who are juggling, whether it's being parents or any other life stuff going on? How do you manage that?
Well, I mean, first I can start by saying that, my heart's out to you because it is very difficult. Beyond that, though, I think that it really is going to come down to analyzing where you can fit the time in. And one of my friends that's helping me along the LSAT and law school admission journey, one thing she had said to me that really like resonated with me was that success is not linear. And I think that's very true. So that would be my first recommendation, is, try to think of it as a marathon and not a sprint. But beyond that, to really get your LSAT prep in, I think that boundaries come into play. Now, I'm not telling you to make boundaries with your children. Your children are always going to come first. And they come first for me too. But maybe boundaries with extended family and friends, especially if you're a non-traditional, you're 25 plus, your friend group is probably going to be similar to that. So they're already in their careers and whatever, for better or for worse, whatever their job is, that's what they're doing. So they may not understand, the same way of, hey, I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do X, Y, or Z because I need to study for this test. You may have external doubt on why even do this. You should just do X, Y, or Z. But, if you're going to go along this like journey of going to law school or studying even just for the LSAT, again, your journey as a lawyer, including going to law school, it has to be because of a decision that you're making. It has to be because this is what you want to do. So if that is the case, if it is because it's something that you want to do, then, you have to almost have blinders on. You have to decide, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have decided. Therefore, this is what I'm going to do. And everybody else's opinion is not relevant.
Mm.
So, I would recommend that as a mindset, and then just figuring out where you can fit it in your schedule. So, that might mean not going out, might mean not going on vacation, which, definitely I'd still recommend doing so. Your mental health comes first. However, it's trying to be creative and figure just where you can fit it in. I mean, for me, it was, work until 5, 6 o'clock, and then help my wife. I would make dinner and do everything else that we need to do for the children, get them to bed at 8 or 9, and then 9 to midnight or 9 to 1 a.m. was my LSAT prep time. So that's how I did it. Your mileage may vary, your results may vary, but that's how I was able to fit it in.
Wise words of advice in there too. So I want to get to the punchline here. I want to hear about your successes in your admission cycle. Why don't you tell us what your outcomes were and how the whole process was for you?
Yeah, sure, for sure. So, again, perspective is everything. A lot of the listeners, and I completely understand, if I was 23 years old and didn't have kids already, then I would probably be in the same boat of, I want to go to Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Michigan, whatever the case is. However, that's not quite it for me. My goals are really go somewhere that isn't predatory, non-conditional, full ride. So, so far to this date, and mind you, my cycle is a little odd. I mean, because I was applying with April LSAT scores for this fall. So I still, nonetheless, I applied to about 30 schools, and I've gotten responses from 14 of them so far. I've gotten 11 acceptances with 4 full ride offers. Do you want me to mention the school names, or?
If you want to, if that adds to the story, if you're comfortable with it.
No, yeah, I can. So I've been offered full admission, full ride offer to Roger Williams, Toledo, Akron, and Western New England. I want to go to school in Florida because that's where my family is, extended family. So I'm still waiting. I've applied to every law school in Florida besides Florida State and Miami. So I got answers from one of them, and I'm probably not going to take it because it was a low scholarship offer. But I'm just kind of waiting them out. But, if I just got rejected across the board at this point, which I don't think is likely to happen, but if I did get rejected across the board at this point, I would be okay with it because I still have full ride unconditional offers. And my main goal is to not go 100K into debt or more, so I'm okay with that outcome if that's what it ends up being.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that stands out to me in your whole story is that you know exactly what you want and you go after it, whether that means during the study process, making the sacrifices that it takes to make it happen, while of course keeping your priorities in line.
Yeah.
But then also in the applications, you're like, I don't need the big name. I don't need the big law outcome. What I want is to be a lawyer. You're clear on your reasons why. And you're not settling for anything less than that, not just full tuition, but no condition scholarship, right? It's not just about the price attached, but also not having anything that's like, oh, you need to maintain this certain GPA or you're going to lose all the, like, you're reading the fine print and you're getting the outcome that you want. So congratulations, sincerely.
I appreciate that. And, I do want to be fair. One of the offers I got, and I'm not taking it, but one of the full ride offers I got had a 2.5 GPA condition, and I'm not interested in that. Because, things could happen, and I'm not doing this to mess around. I sincerely hope that, I want to be top of my class. But, one thing that I don't think gets highlighted enough, and this is just personal opinion, one thing that I don't think gets highlighted enough on some of the subreddits and everything like that, because I know it very much comes down to prestige and law. It's just the nature of the beast. However, I think that one thing that a lot of prospective law school applicants are not expecting is that everybody in law school is going to be just as smart or smarter than you. So I don't think that gets highlighted enough. So to think, well, at X, Y, or Z law school, they're low ranked, and I'll just go there and I'll be at the top of the class. That's not necessarily going to be the case. People are going to be very intelligent there too. People are there, to do their best as well. So, that's why I'm not a fan of the conditions aspect. While I hope to do incredible and while I plan on doing my absolute best, you never know what could happen. So the unconditional part was huge for me.
Exactly. You're graded against your peers, and a lot of people tend to underestimate what that's going to be like. For sure. I wanted to ask you also about, you mentioned that there were some character and fitness issues in your background. A lot of our applicants or a lot of our students who are going to be applying are going to be applying with character and fitness issues as well. How did you navigate that? Did you write any addendums? How did you figure that out?
Yeah, so I wrote huge addendums. That's what I would definitely say. And I want to just throw this out there because, this is on the internet, therefore it will live forever. Character and fitness issues I had, just want to be transparent. We're not talking about anything really that crazy, driving without a license charge, possession of marijuana, and 10 plus years ago back when it was super illegal a lot of places, but still we're talking about pretty petty misdemeanors. Nonetheless, what I did was I just, owned it. Not only I touched on it in personal statement, because one thing that, I've heard a lot about is don't just repeat the same thing over and over again in your application. So touched on it very briefly in my personal statement. And then as far as character and fitness addendums are concerned, I explained it thoroughly. So for example, I may have put, I mean, I did, but I don't want to go too deep into what it actually was. I put, on X, Y, or Z date, I was driving and was stopped. My license was suspended at the time. And, I went to court for it, and my attorney negotiated X, Y, or Z. And I paid the fine off, and I've kept a valid driver's license since. And then on top of that, I also went to the public records site and found a copy of the ticket and a copy of the disposition. So I gave the law schools everything, because one thing that I want everybody listening to remember is it's not just getting past the law schools. The first thing that's going to be pulled when you go to sit for a bar exam is your law school application. And then, if I can find my records, right, my criminal records or whatever records, the bar can too, very easily, and probably much better. So it's not worth trying to sneak anything past them. I've read some things on the internet, and I've fact checked them, that there have been people who've been accused and done pretty serious crimes, but they owned it, they came forward with it, and they disclosed it, and they were still be able to be admitted to the bar. So I think what the bar, from what I've gathered, is looking for is they're looking for, people that are willing to own it and not trying to sneak past the system. So that's what I did. In my addendums, I not only said this happened, but I included case numbers, I included the actual ticket, and I included dispositions so that they have all the information.
Yeah. Integrity and transparency and taking responsibility, that's everything. And these issues are surmountable. It's not going to keep you from practicing law in many cases. So it's great things to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah.
Like, do you have anything else that you want to share with applicants, or that maybe you wish you'd heard?
What I wish I had heard is, and it's out there, but I still wish I would have believed it, because I've always been good at taking tests and everything. I wish I would have believed to really study and really prep for it, and really take heat checks on yourself. So the practice tests. Also, I urge anybody to take practice tests frequently, so once every week or two or whatever the case is, but to also mimic the environment that you're going to actually take the test in. So not taking a break every 5 minutes. That's not going to be like that on the test. Not, having, a big plate of food nearby, or, the people who may vape or something like that, not being able to use their vape every 5 minutes, because it's not going to be like that on the test. So mimic the conditions properly would be my recommendation. Also, I don't want to sound like Tony Robbins or anything, but, I had a lot of hurdles to jump to get to this point. It would have been very easy many times. I had a good first career. As soon as I graduated undergrad, I started a second career while I was studying for LSAT. I had plenty of opportunities to just say, what, I don't want to do this. This is too much work. But I stuck through it. And a lot of people that are studying right now to go through the LSAT and go to law school aren't going to have these. So, my thing to anybody listening is, if you really want it, I know you can do it, because it was really difficult for me to get to this point. It's going to be really difficult for me to continue. So if you believe in yourself, you can absolutely do it. LSAT Demon is a great place to start, because your LSAT score is going to be everything. My cash GPA is a 2.5, and I still got full ride offers to accredited public universities that, aren't so bad that they're unranked. So, your your limit could absolutely be the sky if you really try.
Thanks so much for coming on, Mike, and sharing your story. I wish you all the best in law school and for you and your family.
Thank you.
I hope you'll keep us updated with where your career ends up. Congratulations on everything, and all the best in the future.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it. And it feels surreal because I've watched these so many times. So to be like participating in it, it's feels nice. It feels very validating. So thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And anybody listening, this could be you.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thank you for listening.